if you want saccharine overload, like double dose of caramel with your popcorn, then this is the movie for you. Hi, my name is Katie Nicholl, Vanity Fair's royal correspondent, and today I'll be reviewing movie scenes that depict the British royal family. Well, like the rest of you, I'm here working from home, having a little bit of extra time to catch up on all those wonderful movies. So sit back, relax, and we're going to take you through some of the best and perhaps some of the less accurate depictions of the British royal family. Hands up, I am guilty of watching this movie. I think I watched everything when Meghan and Harry got engaged.
Let's see. Chicken's just about ready. And, Harry?
Right here. I didn't really do this the proper way the first time. Will you marry me?
It is very loosely based on fact, although saying that, the clip that we just watched is accurate because we know from the couple themselves that Harry proposed got down on bended knee, Meghan said. She was cooking a roast chicken at the time. They were living together at Nottingham Cottage. So actually that scene isn't completely fictitious. That is what happened.
The centre diamond is from Botswana.
That's so beautiful.
And these two stones were my mother's. From a brooch she always wore on her left lapel over her heart.
They've done their research and they are being true to fact where they can be. The ring, for example, that he proposes with. Harry did source a diamond from Botswana. The two other diamonds were from his mother's collections.
She wouldn't just have approved of you. She would have loved you.
This, you've got to take it with a bucket load rather than a pinch of salt. It's good fun. It's so easy to watch. I have to say the casting is, absolutely brilliant. I mean, she looks so like Meghan. So, yes, it's high on fiction, relatively mediocre on fact. But listen, if you want to grab a bucket of popcorn and just sit back and watch something for the sheer fun of it, this movie's for you.
Prime Minister.
Good morning, Your Majesty. Sorry to disturb, but I was just wondering whether you'd seen any of today's papers.
We've managed to look at one or two, yes.
This scene takes place after the death of Diana. The Queen is in residence at Balmoral with the Duke of Edinburgh, the Prince of Wales, William and Harry, who've just been told that their mother has died. And the Prime Minister at the time, Tony Blair, calls her up and says that public opinion is turning against her. The people are wondering where she is and why she isn't back in England.
In which case, my next question would be whether you felt some kind of response might be necessary.
Helen Mirren is so extraordinarily amazing at emulating the Queen. I mean, even the way she takes her spectacles off and brusquely polishes them on her cardigan.
I believe a few over-eager editors are doing their best to sell newspapers, and it would be a mistake to dance to their tune.
Under normal circumstances, I would agree. But, well, my advisors have been taking the temperature among people on the streets. And, well, the information I'm getting is that the mood is quite delicate.
So, what would you suggest, Prime Minister? Some kind of a statement?
No, ma'am. I believe the moment for statements has passed. I would suggest flying the flag at half-mast above Buckingham Palace. And coming down to London at the earliest opportunity.
That is exactly what happened. The Queen really stuck to her guns. She made a point of staying in Scotland. And I remember researching this period for my book, William and Harry, back in 2010, and speaking to someone who knows the Queen very well and asking them, why did she make that decision? And this person said to me, it was really very simple. It was probably one of the few times that the Queen has put herself and her family before the needs of her nation. For a woman who has given her whole life to duty and put herself after the public, this was the one occasion where she didn't do that. And yes, she got some flack for it. Yes, she got some critical headlines. But for her, being with those two grandchildren who had just lost their mother was more important than coming and addressing the crowds in London. But the movie goes on to show that she did come back to London.
First, I want to pay tribute to Diana myself. She was an exceptional and gifted human being.
She did make that infamous address from Buckingham Palace, and she did indeed go out and meet the crowds. She is seen in this scene walking through a cleared mine towards the press pack, and she goes on to address them and talk about the importance of the work that she is doing. This is a very accurate depiction of what happened in the late 90s. Just before Diana's death, this was one of the last big humanitarian campaigns that she embarked on. Really quite poignant, and I think the movie captures very well Diana, her spirit, her humanitarian campaign.
All this land can be farmed again, and children can play in the fields. But clearance is a lengthy and hazardous process. Humanity's only defense against landmines is to stop manufacturing them. Thank you.
You look at the costume, it's amazing. It's an absolute replica. The actress has a really strong likeness to Diana. And, this is a moment that really did happen. And in fact, a moment that should be relatively fresh in all of our memories, because last year, Prince Harry was also in South Africa, and he went to visit the area that his mother had walked through. When he retraced his mother's steps through this field that is now a thriving community with schools and hospitals and communities living safely. So it's quite topical, because we're seeing her son, Prince Harry, literally carry on in the footsteps and carrying on the work that she started.
I hate to tell you this. They've refused you the title of Royal Highness, which is yours by right. I'm sorry.
Of course. They're cutting us off then. Closing ranks completely.
It's a double blow for Edward and Wallis, because not only have they been told that no member of the royal family is going to go and attend their wedding, the royal family has also made it clear that Wallis will not get the title of Her Royal Highness. So she would be the Duchess of Windsor, but she would not be Her Royal Highness. You see that disappointment captured very, very well. Edward decided to essentially leave the royal family. He abdicated. He chose not to be king in order to marry the woman who he fell in love with, who happened to be Wallis Simpson, American divorcee. This film, I think, captures very well the sacrifice that the king had to make for love, and ultimately what it meant for Wallis. For me, this is a really good one to revisit, because the ghost of the abdication is something that still looms large in the corridors of Buckingham Palace, and it's actually something that you've heard people talking about very much in recent months as the Sussexes have stepped down. Of course, Harry hasn't abdicated. He remains His Royal Highness Prince Harry, but he has chosen to essentially abdicate in all but name. He and Meghan have exited the royal family. It very much mirrors what Edward did at the time, which was to exit the royal family for the woman who he loved. It was VE Day, the world, the nation was celebrating the end of the war, and Elizabeth and Margaret were allowed out. I think the costumes are fantastic, and I think the closeness between the sisters, between Margaret and Elizabeth, who at that point were, incredibly close, being back in London to celebrate the end of the war. I think that sense of excitement and celebration is beautifully captured in the movie. The Queen, by the way, does love to dance. I mean, you won't see her dancing at the Ritz like you do in this movie, but she will dance when she's at Balmoral. She takes part in certain Gillies balls where she loves to dance. Elizabeth and Margaret were allowed out. That's true, but that's kind of where the fact ends and the fiction begins in the movie. And they certainly weren't allowed out at the Ritz, where this scene takes place, on their own, without chaperones, without staff there. They were far better protected. But the Queen never goes anywhere without her protection team, and that would have been absolutely the case when she was Princess Elizabeth and before she was Queen. She's never dancing or celebrating alone. There are always protection officers at a much closer distance than you think, but they're often very well disguised. They blend in. Royal protection is always there to look after the Queen, but you just might not always spot them. I can spot them most of the time, because being on royal engagements a lot of the time, you get to know these protection officers, you get to chat to them, they know you, you know them by name, and they're usually the ones telling you to get back because you're standing too close. I think the fascination is that these films bring to life in a very real way what the royal family does, and some of the sort of key moments in royal history. If you look at the Queen, they centre on the most dramatic moments, on the controversies, on the scandals, on the episodes, the real life episodes that absolutely gripped not just the nation but the world. So throw in some brilliant casting and focus on that dynamic, dramatic, controversial moment, and you're going to get bums on seats. That film's going to be a success.